Welcome to Vegan Business Talk with Katrina Fox, author of Vegan Ventures, Start and Grow an Ethical Business. Hello and welcome to episode 28 of Vegan Business Talk. I'm Katrina Fox, journalist, media trainer and editor of veganbusinessmedia.com, the multimedia blog providing success tips for vegan business owners and entrepreneurs. In this episode, I interviewed Justin Mead, owner of vegan-style footwear and accessories store in Melbourne, Australia. Starting out with humble beginnings in 2 small rooms that were shared with a vegan cafe, to opening a flagship store on the vegan-friendly hub on Brunswick Street, the company has grown to become a market leader in the provision of high-quality, fashionable and stylish products that are made without harming animals and minimising impact on the environment. Vegan Style carries a diverse range of brands in women's and men's styles from across the globe, including its house brand, Zet. Among the innovative, eco-friendly materials used in some products are recycled polyurethane bottles and laser-cut wood from ethically managed forests. Also, Vegan Style became the first retailer in Australia to carry sneakers made from Pinatex, a leather alternative made from pineapple leaves. Justin started Vegan Style in 2010 while still working full-time in web development for the Department of Education. And he still works full-time for the Victorian State Government. In this interview, he talks about how staying in a salaried day job can allow your business to grow much faster, the need to educate customers on the higher price points of products, the importance of valuing your staff and utilising all their skills, the pros and cons of using the word vegan in your business name, and much more. Here's the interview with Justin Mead of Vegan Style. Hello, Justin. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Katrina.
All right. So look, my first question to every guest I have on the show is about your why. So tell us about why you started Vegan Style and why you continue to do it.
Well, if you want a broad statement that sort of reflects our mission, I would say to give ethical shoppers access to beautiful, stylish luxury goods, particularly footwear and accessories, but we're also dipping into other types of products like cosmetics and that sort of thing soon. From a personal point of view, I've been vegan for, 15 and a half years or something now, and, vegetarian way longer than that. I'm not going to say because I'll give away my age. So I've always keenly felt that we are missing out on things we shouldn't have to miss out on, and because we want to create a better world, it seems like there's luxury tends to be associated with real cruelty, unborn skin, calf leather and fur and, all those sorts of things, which, I find really horrible. But sometimes the styles and the aesthetics of those goods and the craftsmanship and the longevity and the quality, it's sort of, I always thought we should have access to that too. And obviously a lot of other people in the world are thinking the same thing because there are plenty of products on the market at the moment.
Fantastic. Now, you've run Vegan Style now for several years and you started in a shared premises and then you've really grown and you've been so successful that you've moved to a larger retail store, and I think we were just chatting before, you're about to actually move into another premises, which is fantastic, in a really busy part of Melbourne. And you've done all of this while working full-time in a government job. So tell us a bit about why you decided to do it that way and keep your job and launch and run a shoe business.
Okay, there's a couple of reasons. Well, number one, it kind of happened organically. We actually started in our spare bedroom in one of my former houses that I was living in a few years ago, and then when we moved to our current residence, our garage became the shop. But we just kept growing and growing, and so we outgrew the bedroom really quickly. We outgrew the garage really quickly, and then we moved to share the premises with a vegan cafe. We had the upstairs room for a bit, then we outgrew that, so we moved downstairs, and we've just, when I think about it, actually the growth has been phenomenal and it just doesn't stop. It's unrelenting, which is a good thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think one of the main reasons we've been able to grow that quickly is because I've kept my day job, which helps fund life. I mean, the business is going so well, but it certainly wouldn't have been able to grow as fast as it has if I hadn't been working full time as well.
It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the kind of business that you've got, because you're not physically there, you've got to have staff. So it's kind of interesting that you said that, because a lot of people would think, oh, well, I've got to work in the business myself to begin with, because that will save money by not paying a staff member. So it's actually quite interesting that you say that it's worked out for you this way, and that's good as well for other people to know that, because I think sometimes business owners think, oh, okay, I've got to be there and I've got to be doing it, and that's obviously not necessarily the case.
I can see the value in taking that approach, though. But I still, when I do the balance between my salary and what I pay out in staff salary, it's still more beneficial for me to pay staff to do it. And then if you lock yourself into being the only person who can run your business, you've got no flexibility if you want to travel, if you get sick, if you've got family commitments, social, it really would limit you, I think.
That's a really good point, actually. Very, very good point. And that can be something, that I say a lot of business owners do, and it sort of becomes, all about them and perhaps, too much control. So it's great that you've actually done that off the back. And I think that's actually quite, helpful and inspirational for people to know that is another option to do. So tell us about who your main clientele is. We'll talk a little bit later about, the choice of using the word vegan in your title and your marketing and stuff. But for now, who are your main clientele, and approximately what percentage of them are actually vegan compared to people, who just want a nice pair of shoes?
It's a really good question, and I haven't got hard stats on it, and I would really like to collect them at some point. I'm just not sure how to go about it. Given that if you ask people in the store, oh, by the way, are you vegan? Some people find that a little bit uncomfortable. But just from anecdotal evidence, I'd say about 50% are ethical vegans, and then you probably have your vegetarians, which would make up quite a big percentage. And then you have other groups that are there because they're interested in more fair trade or some of the ecological friendly products we've got. And then definitely in the shop we get street foot traffic from the street who are just there because the actual styles appeal to them.
Got it. That's right. And is it mainly men, or because you actually sell men's and women's shoes? Are you predominantly women or male customers?
It goes in waves. It's really interesting. Some days it'll be 90% women's shoes that get sold, and then some days it's it wouldn't be 90% men, but maybe 60-70% men. So there's really quite interesting. Just observing how differently men and women tend to shop overall. There are no rules, absolutely no rules. But women tend to come in and women tend to buy more seasonally, where men seem to buy more around, they need new shoes.
Yeah. But it's good that you mentioned actually about the being on the street. I think that's actually obviously a good advantage, in that people could just walk past, not necessarily see the name of your shop, but just see, really cool products and think, oh yeah, I want those, and to come in. So that's good to hear that that's happening, and obviously an advantage of having a shop front. So let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges that vegan business owners face. So a lot of the time vegan products are pricier, and particularly if they're fair trade and they're sustainable as well. Because, business owners aren't able to get the discounts available in bulk purchases of raw materials and all sorts of other reasons. How do you deal with this challenge to stay competitive and attract clients?
Well, again, I think one of the reasons why I've stayed working full-time is to, I don't think it, I know it, is to keep the price down, because I can actually channel extra funds into the business. I don't need to draw a salary from the business yet. That will change. I can keep the profit margins down to keep them a little bit lower than if I needed to pay bills from the business. So
What about in terms of people complaining? Because, some people do, that you put out some of your products and they say, oh, they're really expensive. They're out of the price of ordinary people, whatever ordinary people are supposed to be. Well, how do you kind of deal with that kind of criticism or complaints?
Yeah, it's quite challenging. One of the things we do is we just have to educate our customers. We have to explain that not only are these products made mostly in Europe, but we tend to work with stick to products where they're produced in countries with robust worker rights, and and those rights are enforced by the government. We explain that. We explain that most of the materials are produced also in Europe. Mostly Italy produces most of the high-quality microfiber, and a lot of the cork comes from Portugal, things like that. So these countries have stronger environmental standards than perhaps some where, the bulk of the world's shoes are still produced in the developing countries like China and Bangladesh, Cambodia, Vietnam and stuff, where those standards aren't so strong. So it really is an educational point of view process.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point you've raised about telling those stories behind the brand, because I've spoken with other business owners and as we say, it's like there's a cost somewhere. And they don't often, we don't often think that. We're used to going to places like Payless or Kmart, for a $25 pair of shoes, and we think, oh yeah, that's the kind of, that should be the standard. But we don't realise the other costs involved, whether it's to people, animals or the planet.
And someone is paying the price for your bargain.
That's a really good point. Very good soundbite. That it's very true. So
I think the quality is better when people get, when people can take pride in their work because they're not worried about survival and all that sort of thing. So,
and I think as well, when you buy something that's really good quality, it lasts for a good while. Do you know what I mean? You're not constantly having to buy like every 3 months or every 6 months buying, cheap, crappy shoes because they're falling apart. You're actually hanging on to them for quite some time, which, is cost effective in the long run, I guess.
And also more sustainable.
Yeah.
So, we're really big on having shoes that last more than 1 or 2 seasons.
Excellent. So let's go back to when you first started up Vegan Style. What were some of your challenges then, and how have they changed as you've grown as a business?
Well, one of the things is I just had to learn about shoes, actually, because I must admit, I've always enjoyed fashion and style, but I didn't have a robust knowledge of shoes, particularly women's shoes. So just that really broad understanding, heel height is important, just the different names of different styles and stuff. What else? Finding the capital, of course, has always been one of our biggest challenges and continues to be one of our biggest challenges. But I'm sure that's true of every business, or most at least. But I'd say one of the things I completely underestimated at the beginning, and probably still do to some extent, though I think we've addressed that a little bit, is marketing. I read somewhere, I can't remember where, so I should find the source of this, that your initial startup marketing budget should be 30% of your overall budget. And at the time I didn't really think about the marketing. I thought, I'll just get on Facebook and tell people what we're doing and it'll grow. And we certainly got a lot of interest doing that. But I think if we had had a better marketing strategy from the very beginning, our growth would have been even bigger.
Right. Good. No, I appreciate you sharing that. And I think that's important for people to know that. And you're absolutely right. Certainly a lot of the vegan business owners I speak to, they don't factor in either anything or very little for marketing and PR. So it's interesting that that you shared that. So I appreciate you sharing that as well. So as a store that stocks other people's brands, as well as your own house brand, Zet, how do you decide what to sell?
After several years now, my instincts are a lot better around knowing what will sell and what's current and what will work. But in the beginning, I used to run focus groups with various local vegans, just to get a sense of what styles they think they would buy or what they thought would sell or something. We don't do that so much anymore. But going back to staff, I actually lean quite heavily on my staff to provide feedback on what they think will sell. They're quite a hip bunch of people. They kind of understand current trends. They know current trends. They are diverse enough to actually provide differing opinions, so that can be fun at times. But yeah, I'd say, and they're dealing with the customers every day, so they know what people are asking for and stuff like that.
That's great. Well, that leads nicely into my next question, which was about staff. And I would say, obviously, particularly with you, even more so because you're not there kind of on the ground yourself, obviously really important to have the right staff, to look after the store and to represent you as a brand. How do you go about finding and keeping experienced, motivated staff?
Yeah, I haven't had to go out and seek staff. We get CVs, resumes handed in at least several a week. So a lot of time it's the timing. I need someone. I'll have a look at who's interested, and they tend to all be passionate, ethical vegans, which is great. Everyone on the team is a vegan. We don't insist on it, but it seems to be the way it happens, which is great. So I'm just trying to think. Yeah, some people are so highly skilled nowadays. I think it's a tough market out there. So it's working in a business owner's favour if you can offer work, particularly something ethical and specialised in veganism. It's a pretty rare business that can offer that to someone. But yeah, the last two people we've had have got marketing degrees. And
oh, that's really helpful, having people with marketing degrees. So are they working full-time or part-time or a mix of both, Justin?
I don't have any full-timers at the moment. I've only got casuals, but that's actually something I'm considering looking at as well, just to get a bit more stability. So, I mean,
and you obviously look after your staff. Well, the fact that you're getting regular resumes, your staff obviously happy working for you. What kinds of things do you do to look after them so that they love coming to work?
I think you need to value their opinion, and I have to put a lot of trust in them. So, I think when you have that expectation of people, they step up. Yeah, I mean, I've been managing teams for years now. It is quite different because normally I manage a team when I'm there and they're all working with each other. So you all interact and you see how things are going over a work week. Whereas with the business, there's mostly only ever one person in the shop at any time. And so they don't get to interact with each other as much or me. But they're all a bunch of pleasant people. Yeah, I think really, and working with their skills, like I mentioned, a couple of them had marketing backgrounds, but also one of them's she's an avid photographer, and I've got some people who really enjoy writing as well. And I think letting them bring their own things to the business, to the team, is really valuable as well. They've told me they really appreciated it.
Fantastic. No, that's really good to hear. That's excellent. So let's talk a bit about competition. So there's a much more diverse range, as you mentioned earlier, of vegan shoe stores, both physical stores and, obviously buying online and even in a global marketplace. We can order shoes from abroad, etc. So how do you go about standing out both within and outside of the vegan business arena and maintaining a regular flow of clients?
Yeah, it's an interesting challenge. There is still not a lot of bricks and mortar vegan shoe shops in Australia, but the two that do exist are really close to each other. I really, the other business tends to focus on more practical work, boots, hiking boots, athletic stuff. So this works for me anyway, but I wanted to focus more on fashion and style and look and quality and stuff. So there is definitely overlap between our two businesses, but at the same time, I think there is something different. They produce their own brand primarily, whereas we want to carry a really wide range of different brands to give consumers the option. There aren't really a lot of shoe shops like us. I can think of a few in America, a handful in America, and a couple in Europe, but there are a lot of shoe brands that have their own shop for their own brand, like Vegetarian Shoes, for instance, but not so many that sell a wide range of brands. I mean, obviously there's Moo Shoes, who are fairly good friends with, and there's one in Sweden, I believe, but they are opening up all the time. And so Visu, of course, in Germany, they're the only chain. Oh no, Moo Shoes is a chain as well. So yeah, it's definitely in Europe and America. I think the growth of veganism is much bigger than here. So just because of sheer numbers, not percentages. Yeah. So those businesses can actually grow quite fast. But yeah, it's definitely interesting. I think it really helps to have the different brands because you get to speak to the suppliers who also have relationships with the other retailers. So they seem to all work with each other.
For sure. And you're obviously very innovative. I notice, some of the materials that you use, you're constantly looking for new and innovative products, such as the Pinatex, which is the pineapple leather. You've got a couple of sneakers made out of pineapple leather. I think you're the first, as far as we know, the first stockist in Australia to have Pinatex.
It's a fairly new material, so I don't think there's a lot of products being produced yet. But what I've noticed is a lot of the other Pinatex products aren't being produced by vegan brands per se. They've just been picked up by standard businesses, whereas the ones we carry are by NAE, which stands for No Animal Exploitation. So they're very much a vegan brand and vegan-oriented brand. The Pinatex is really exciting. I've got a pair of Pinatex shoes myself that I've been trying. See.
Fantastic. And it's great that you've got that combination of not just vegan, because, you can get cheap kind of, or you can get vegan shoes that, may not have been made fair trade or, maybe made out of material that's not very good for the environment. Whereas I really like that we can go to vegan style and, you do take into account people, animals and planet, which I think is one of the strengths of your business. So that's fantastic. What do you think about the whole idea of not thinking about competition and seeing everyone as a collaborator because we're all on the same mission for a vegan world? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like that idea because it suits, well, I think when humans are animals as well, and, I think to lead a vegan lifestyle, you want to make sure that other humans are happy as well. And I'm not a terribly competitive person at the best of times. It's not how I like to live my life. So, I'd much rather collaborate with people doing similar or slightly similar things. I do both socialise and work with different vegan businesses because we have the same challenges, the same frustrations, the same successes, and it's good to connect and make sure that, well, you understand that the struggle, you're not alone in the struggle. There are other people going through similar experiences, and I think that can be really valuable.
Exactly. I know when I interviewed Seth Tibbett from Tofurkey and, obviously there's lots more, alternative meat products now. And he said, yeah, but that's a good thing because it's like a rising tide lifts all boats. So the more that there are, the greater part of the market that you can get. So it kind of ends up being a win for everyone. So that's great. So let's...
seems to be the way with there's more demand. So...
Yeah, exactly. And it kind of forces businesses, I think, as well to continue to be more innovative. So as something becomes a bit more mainstream and people can get it from, lots of different places, it kind of forces business owners to continue to innovate and look for more unique products and stuff, which is great, I guess, for consumers as well. So we touched a little bit on marketing. I remember you said you kind of went on Facebook and used social media a fair bit. So what have been some of the marketing strategies you've used that have been successful in growing vegan style to date?
And I remember reading this piece of advice very early when I started the business and ignoring it. So I have made a few mistakes as we went along, but the classic one is get your email list and grow it. It's probably the most effective thing you can do, from what I understand, and certainly we've put a lot of effort into ours lately, and it really does seem to bring back nearly immediate results. It's the best way of communicating with people. We also have a massive amount of success with Facebook. I get very frustrated with Facebook at times, particularly the way Facebook is not always the friendliest product to use for businesses, but it works. So
when you say it works, Justin, is that more for paid ads or organic? Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think I just posted something recently about their recent updates, and they're apparently going to favour more stuff from family and friends in people's news feeds. So, of course, a lot of business owners are getting quite annoyed. So it's actually good to hear that, you know, you're having some success with it, even if it is pay to play. I think there's still a knack and a trick in getting Facebook ads to work for you. So it's good that you've honed in on that and mastered that. And you're absolutely right about the whole email thing. It's like, I think the analogy is, you know, it's no good building your house on someone else's land, which is, you know, like when you do on Facebook, because if they decide to, you know, evict you or close down your channel, then you've lost all those people. Whereas if they're on your email system, you know what I mean, you've still got them. So that's great to hear. All right, let's talk about, this is particularly obviously a very pertinent question for you. And again, it's one I ask everyone, is that the use of the word vegan in your, not at marketing materials and branding, you've also got it in your business's name. So tell us that your thinking around that, why you chose to have vegan in the name, whether you would do the same again, or, you know, just any, or if your thoughts have changed along those lines. Just tell us a little bit about your thinking about the use of the word vegan.
When I was coming up with the name, I was trying, you know, I thought doing it vegan style was cute, you know. Also, there was a stereotype that the two things weren't necessarily words that work together. You know, they were a bit mutually exclusive. And I wanted to sort of redress that stereotype, that misconception. You can be vegan and you can be stylish. But would I do it again? Frankly, I probably wouldn't. It is challenging being, you know, so overtly a vegan business, particularly as we don't sell food. So there is a huge amount of confusion whenever we do anything, going for a bank loan through to putting the branding on our new window. When we did that, everyone just assumed we're opening a restaurant or a cafe.
Oh, interesting.
And not that that's a huge problem, because it's a wonderful opportunity to educate people that veganism is much broader than food, which is just, I mean, it's a good challenge, but it has been a massive challenge. We even see, you know, well, you probably see this yourself in different groups, that even vegans sometimes overly assume that veganism is just related to what you eat, which of course it's such a broad lifestyle philosophy that encompasses what you eat, what you wear, how you engage and treat with animals, what care products you use, how you spend. It's huge, and it's been good, but I think it does confuse people a little bit, given that our products aren't related to food.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I remember talking to a designer, someone who specialises in book cover design, and, you know, I mentioned my book was last year, and I said, oh, it's called Vegan Ventures, you know, and I said the title, and then she said to me, oh yes, she said, I'm sure that'll be or she referred to it, she thought it was a cookbook or a recipe book, and I was like, no, I'm like, it's nothing to do with that. When I explained, and she said exactly that. She was like, oh my gosh, I hadn't even thought about veganism being more than just food. So it's interesting you say that. I'm curious as to whether, you know, now that veganism's kind of a bit more trendy now, you know, becoming a bit more popular and associated with more, you know, kind of cool things, whether that will start to shift. I think we're probably just making a bit of a dent in terms of food and making vegan food kind of sexy. And I think hopefully the next step will be, you know, fashion and shoes, etc., and other things. So cool. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. So what about for those people who they're listening to this and they've got a job and they aspire to or they want to run a business of their own? What, in your opinion, are the key things they need to take into account before making the leap from employment to self-employed?
Yeah, I haven't managed to do that yet myself.
That's true, actually. But well, or for those who want to hold down a full-time job and run a business, that's your speciality.
Be prepared to give up your social life. I basically work an 8-hour day, come home and do at least 4 hours of business work, sometimes more. Every night. So there's not a lot of time to socialise. And when I do tend to socialise, it's with other vegan business owners because they understand the challenge. They understand where you're at. So I think I read a quote the other day and I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was really good. It was said something like, entrepreneurs are prepared to live in a certain way now, in terms of they're willing to sacrifice some things so they can live a better life later. So it's kind of like there's a
short-term pain for long-term gain.
Yeah. That's what
Should I summarise?
Yeah, it's like you're building something amazing and wonderful. So you do have to make a few sacrifices in the short term.
Yeah, I think that's good advice, because, that, and you and I have probably both seen this, there's a lot of these get rich quick schemes or, work from the beach, 4 hours a day on your laptop kind of thing. And not to say that that's not possible, but what they don't share is there's a heck of a lot of time and effort and sweat and pain and sacrifice, like you say, to actually get to that stage. So I think it's a really good point that you make there. And, because we want vegan businesses to succeed. And I don't want people to start a business and think, this is going to be really easy and a breeze and all the rest of it. So I think it's really good that you're, being honest and sharing this kind of thing as other interviewees have done, which is great. What would you say some of the mistakes aspiring business owners make and how can they avoid them? I
think I've seen this in a few new businesses where they, as soon as they hit one or two challenges or hurdles, they give up. It's not going to grow. From what I can see in most cases, it's not going to be an instant success. Even the business owners who do something amazing and it comes across as an instant success have done lots of different things in the past to learn the skills and develop the knowledge and the connections and the networks to launch an instant success, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, absolutely. I've interviewed a couple of them, Miyoko Shinner from Miyoko's Cheese and Parna Barbunis from Parna Chocolate. And you're right, people sort of look at that and think, it's immediately a success, but they don't know that both of those have had, immense amount of experience and as you say, and connections and the rest of it. So, yeah.
Parna's one of our customers, so.
Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Now, we touched on this earlier. I was going to ask what skills from in your case, your current job or your previous jobs that you've had have been useful in running a business. I know you touched on like running teams. Are there any other skills that you would say that you're able to put to use in running your own business?
My background's in website management. So that's been an incredibly useful skill to have because
definitely
half our business is online. So running our e-commerce. So not to say that there isn't some significant differences and different challenges between running a large complex government websites to a dynamic e-commerce site, which has been really interesting. But I actually work in a communications team at work too. So there's lots of crossover. So I've learned skills in both areas which have translated well. So I've got some skills from running the business that have been really useful in my day job and vice versa. I try to keep the two things really separate though. Like, okay, I'm happy to reuse skills, but I think it's really important to demarcate the two roles.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. Yeah. I was going to ask you, actually, I mean, you've made the choice to run an actual physical store and when you could have just run an online store. So I'm curious about that. What made you decide to have a physical store in Melbourne?
It was a bit of luck. The people who owned Lost Vegan Cafe at the time had some space that they wanted to lease out. So and I thought there was good dynamic between our two businesses. They were vegan food and we were vegan fashion. And it was like as soon as we opened a bricks and mortar shop, even the online business grew substantially. It's like I think people still trust a business that has a bricks and mortar address over a business that's just online.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point.
So and definitely for us, we need a shop just to people. We sell shoes, and people like to touch, try on, pick up. We've even had people who've flown in from interstate specifically to come and shop with us.
Oh, wow.
Prefer not to shop online. So,
yeah. And I suppose it's like, with the, what was I going to say, with the physical store, you've got to know your market. And obviously where you are in Melbourne, you're right in a very vegan friendly area, like a vegan hub, or, where a lot of people will come to. Because I think that's something that, some people opening physical stores, they've got to really be quite sure of their market and know that they're going to have, enough customers, either, as you say, traveling specifically to them, or enough foot traffic that people will come in off the streets and purchase. So. Cool.
Yeah, Brunswick Street's a great vegan mecca. I love it.
Now, we touched on this slightly, or I think you touched on it initially when we talked about challenges in terms of funding businesses. So every business has some startup costs, even if you're going to start only online. What were some of the methods you used to get started, if you feel comfortable sharing? And what have you found that works well? So, whether it's investors, loans, grants, we've got crowdfunding as an option now. What are your thoughts on what the pros and cons are of, say, getting investors on board or some of those other
Well, we don't have investors, so I haven't done that. It's all just self-funded at the moment. So we haven't done crowdsourcing either. I was fortunate that I had an investment property I could leverage for funding. I think for us personally, that was the best way. I don't know. I mean, I really don't want to be beholden to anyone else, even a series of investors. But I do know that businesses that seek investment tend to grow faster. Yeah.
Yeah. No, cool. Okay. No, it's good to know because, that's. I think it's important for people to hear, the different ways that they can do it. And I know a lot of the business owners I've spoken to, they've either had savings or, they've been able to leverage. And some have even said, I wish I'd had a property that I could leverage to get some of the capital. So that's good to hear that. So finally, let's talk a little bit about mindset, because, a lot of business owners, they say running and owning a business, it's the fastest and most effective form of personal development. What personal qualities do you believe are essential to have to stay the course and run a successful business?
Grim determination.
Grim determination. What, not happy determination?
You have to be passionate about what you're doing. You have to believe in it. Like at the end of the day, because there are some challenges that can be really disillusioning. You might have a day where you have a series of, we still get a lot of constructive feedback, shall we say, from both vegans and non-vegans alike, and quite often they'll be about they'll be talking about the same product but have completely different perspectives. So we're wrong on both counts. It's quite it's quite strange, and you can get down, and you have to know that will pass. I guess it really is so much more of an emotional roller coaster than I could ever have predicted. And it's really, you can't show that to your customers, and, they have to think everything is smooth sailing and it's, all going along well, but it can be really up and down. So I guess you really just need to find that passion and know you're on the right path and stick at it, even though some days you just think, I just want to throw it all in and go back to a nice, comfortable job where I can leave work at 5 o'clock and not think about anything.
Yeah, so I appreciate it. And I think that, a lot of, successful entrepreneurs do share that kind of stuff. It's almost like, it's almost impossible to have that kind of success without the ups and the downs. So I'm curious then, how do you, and I get what you're saying, you have someone saying, oh yeah, I love this product. Another person going, no, it's a shit product. And, no one wants to, get kind of criticism. So I'm curious, how do you get through those down days? Do you have any specific steps or strategies or techniques that you use to just ensure a strong mental and emotional well-being as a business owner?
Yeah, I think really for me, well, my partner is really supportive, but also just having other vegan business owners in my network, it's really just some of them, like I really get along with Jess from the Cruelty Free Shop, for instance, and, I'm on Brunswick Street, so they're other business owners to talk to. And just when like if you can see someone else is having a good day when you're down, it reminds you that tomorrow can be completely different, and often is completely different. One day you might be on a real high because everything's going wonderful, and you've just been interviewed by Vegan Ventures, for example, and wonderful things happen. And then the next day it's all criticism, and it's often based on mistruths, or you found some post about your business on social media that's really negative by someone who's never shopped with you, and so I think I've got much thicker skinned over time. I also do find the support of other people in similar situations so valuable.
Yeah, that's really important, actually. It is. And I think what I like about, particularly around vegan business owners and entrepreneurs, like certainly with the interviews that I've done, a lot of them have said very similar things that, they like to help each other out. Do you know what I mean? So if you see someone else having a good day, you're not kind of like, oh God, they're having a good day and being jealous. It's kind of like, oh great, they're having a good day. Great, fantastic. That's, it's a great thing that's happening in the world. They're doing a good thing. And then, like you say, that often just even acknowledging that can even, shift, and then your mind, you focus on something else and something positive happens. So, but I do find that vegan business owners and entrepreneurs, when they come together, they're so supporting and just really great to be around. So I'm glad that you raised that, because I think that's an important thing to get people to do, to make sure that they're hanging out with in person if possible, but also online as well. Some great vegan business groups online that are also really, really helpful. So that's great. So we're getting down to the final couple of questions now. What would you say, Justin, what have been the key lessons you've learned through running your business? And that can be personal, like things you've learned about yourself, or professional, or both?
Yeah, well, as I was saying, I'm a fairly sensitive person, so I've had to learn to not take things personally, and actually try and weed out what the nuggets of gold are within, the mud and slush of what goes on. Just having to have self-belief, when you run a business and you just have to keep going. And sometimes it's a case of you fake it till you make it. So I've had to become a lot more, a lot stronger as a person. It's been really wonderful. And there are so many really exciting moments. You really feel, when you're doing something like this for yourself, you feel so much more alive than when you're working the 9 to 5 for someone else.
Oh, that's a really good point. And of course, we should mention as well that your house brand was featured among some other vegan brands at Milan Fashion Week as part of which is really great. So I imagine something like when those kind of really cool things happen, it sort of reminds you of, why it's all worthwhile, and that, you're really getting out there and not only running your successful business, but also literally making a difference in the world, and, making a difference in mainstream fashion, which is fantastic.
That's very exciting.
Yeah. So finally, Justin, what's your long-term vision for Vegan Style and yourself?
Well, our immediate goal is to get this to grow the business by moving to a new location, which I think we mention that? But
yes, you're about to move to another location, which is also on Brunswick Street.
Yes, just across the road. So
fantastic.
Found a nicer shop, but of course we'd love to have a shop in every capital city. So most.
I was wondering about that. Are we going to see a Vegan Style chain?
That's the plan. I've got to get this new one right, and we'll see where we are. It's a longer term goal. I'd say probably 12 to 24 months. But yeah, we'd love to open up a shop in
Sydney.
Yeah, Sydney. Yeah, I mean that's the logical place.
Being selfish here.
Well, that's where the second biggest group of vegans are in Australia, so that would make sense. From there, we want to grow our own brand. So we've got our house brand Zet, named after our wonderful fluffy silver tabby cat who's sitting right next to me, wondering who I'm talking to.
Hello, Zet.
I really want to bring out another range, and we want to expand that into men's shoes as well. And we're also expanding our product range. So shortly we're going to be carrying one of the bigger vegan cosmetic brands. I probably can't say yet. I'm not sure if I can, but watch this space. It's not long now.
Okay. Sweet.
And I want to, we want to expand out of, we are primarily footwear and we will remain primarily footwear, but we want a few more other bits and pieces as well to, keep it a nice, nice holistic vegan experience. We won't ever be doing food though.
Yeah, got it.
That's for the experts.
Yeah, for sure. Wonderful. That's been brilliant. Justin, you've shared so many wonderful pieces of wisdom and insights and expertise. Really, really appreciate it. Thank you so much for joining me and being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
So that was Justin Mead from Vegan Style. You can find out more at veganstyle.com.au. And that link is on the show notes page at veganbusinessmedia.com/podcasts. Now for our vegan business news roundup. US pharmacy chain CVS is offering more health-conscious foods to its customers, including vegan products, reports Investors Business Daily. Natural and organic food items have already rolled out in 500 stores as part of a pilot program, with plans to add 100 more stores a week until 2,900 stores nationwide are stocked by the end of the year. Among the brands added are Amy's Kitchen and Rhythm Superfoods. The move is part of a strategy towards offering healthier products. CVS stopped selling tobacco products in 2014, and that same year it changed its name from CVS Caremark to CVS Health. Well, this is certainly a step in the right direction. Of course, the more vegan products, the better. Italy's largest market is to add vegan sections, reports Veg News. New supermarkets that open under the Conad retail brand will feature a section with vegan items near the produce aisle. According to sales manager Valentino Colantuano, the move is part of an effort to serve a growing number of vegan customers. So again, this is another step in the right direction. It's great to see major places acknowledge the popularity of vegan food. Ideally, of course, we'll see an Italian version of Vegans, the German all-vegan supermarket chain, which is also set to open a branch in Portland in the US. A new vegan shoe brand has launched, and its debut has been covered by Forbes. Susie Studio is based in Los Angeles and uses recycled products and natural fibres, including canvas, hemp and recycled polyurethane made from plastic bottles. Susie, and that's spelt S-U-S-I, means key in Filipino, and the idea is to unlock responsible approaches to fashion and style. Creative director Bianca Moran, who opened Susie Restaurant in the Philippines, the first gluten-free vegan eatery in the country, is keen to break stereotypes around vegan footwear. She told Forbes, "For decades, consumers have pictured vegan shoes as awkward, ugly sandals that can't be stylish or trendy. We're ready to prove them wrong with our contemporary and versatile designs." It's fantastic to see yet another vegan shoe brand come out with different styles and designs that are good for people, animals and planet. Cracklins or pork rinds are not things you'll find on the list of foods to eat for vegans. Except now there is a vegan version, snacklins. Created by Sammy Kobrosley and his friend Logan McGeer, the executive chef of Smoke and Barrel in Washington, D.C., Snacklins come in 3 flavours: barbecue, Chesapeake Bay and soy ginger. As well as being vegan, the products are also gluten-free. Snacklins are available at Smoke and Barrel and 2 sister restaurants, Meridian Pint and Brooklyn Pint, as well as some other DC bars, local breweries and markets. According to DC Inno, the startup is currently seeking investment to scale up across the region. It auditioned for the next season of Shark Tank and is currently waiting to hear if it made it through to the next rounds of the popular TV show. See, there you go, yet another example of veganising a traditional meat product. It's innovations like this that will really help to turn the masses onto plant-based alternatives. So fingers crossed that the Snacklins team progress on Shark Tank. But you know what, regardless of whether they get a shark investing, the exposure from the publicity will give a huge boost to their business, as was the case for Shannon and Florian Radke of Cinnaholic, who you may remember I interviewed in a previous episode of Vegan Business Talk. Luxury car maker Bentley are considering animal-free alternatives for their interiors, according to Autocar. Seats are currently made from the hides of a particular breed of Spanish bull, which is, well, pretty gross, and it can take up to 20 hides to cover the interior of a Bentley Mulsanne. Autocar reporter Matt Pryor visited the Bentley factory and crew in the UK and asked if there were any vegan options, and was told by the company that they are working on it due to interest. Pryor notes that obstacles to overcome are that synthetic leather is not unique, unlike the bulls, and is not perceived as a luxury material. Still, it's good to hear that, these luxury car manufacturers, especially something as prestigious as Bentley, is finally looking at cruelty-free alternatives and considering them. And I'll certainly report on any developments on this front. Finally, it seems almost every week I report a positive vegan business venture in New York on the show, and this week is no different. Dunwell Donuts vegan donut store is expanding into the East Village 5 years after opening their store in East Williamsburg, according to Gothamist. The new outlet is set to open this month on St Mark's Place. Although smaller than its Brooklyn outlet, the East Village eatery will include donuts, pastries and coffee, with ice cream and other drinks also planned. Well, what can I say? You've probably guessed. Haven't they done well? Sorry, I couldn't help myself. That was a pun just begging to happen. You can follow the company's social media to find out the opening date. And again, another one for my next trip to the city. So that's it for this episode of Vegan Business Talk. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you enjoyed the show, please consider giving it a review and a rating on iTunes or any other platform you're listening on. I'm Katrina Fox from veganbusinessmedia.com, and I look forward to catching up with you in the next episode. Bye for now.